cowboys, horses, roast beef, and mustard. This is the local rodeo here at the town of Cochrane, in the Western Canadian province of Alberta. These skills are vital to a people who know a lot about raising beef. They also know a lot about mustard. They grow them both, along with the wheat that makes the buns. Canadians, like Americans, prefer a milder yellow mustard made from a large white variety of seed. They even use it to help the marinade for their fabulous roast beef. It's mustard's essential oils that carry the taste. As they evaporate, they leave just a delicious hint.
Oh, doesn't that look good? Beautiful beef.
Everywhere in North America, hot dogs, hamburgers and beef sandwiches are spread with the yellow sauce. But there are, of course, those who aren't exactly anticipating with relish a contact with mustard. Now, if you think rodeo is a bit unfair, remember the people of Alberta, at least, permit the animals a bit of revenge.
Bordeaux, certainly Bordeaux. Yes, you can tell by it's a typical brown French mustard. A slight hint of genuine anchovy and caper about it. This is a coarse ground English black mustard, very aromatic, particularly good with hams and so on. Now, here we have either an English or a North American, and I say that because of the very bright yellow colour. English made mustard with flour and added colour. Now, then this is an English very strong coarse grain mustard, and here again you can tell by the slight marks of spice you can see in there.
William Thalberg is what the French long ago would have called a moutardier. He makes mustard, appropriately here in the English county of Wiltshire, which itself has been dubbed the kingdom of the pig.
Wiltshire tracklements? I chose tracklements because it's an old English word for a meat accompaniment. And mustard, with all its varieties, is the most processed of all the spices. And what we try to do is make different mustards for different purposes. This is white mustard seed, which indeed the Americans use in their mustard sauces. But of course we also use continental brown mustard seed, which is rather more aromatic. And we add to it a certain judicious amount of spicing. Allspice, simply because I very much like the flavour, and black peppercorns, both for pungency and flavour. We use chilies to add a bit of bite to it, and we'll mix them all in together and grind them simultaneously so that we keep those volatile essential oils all in position where they ought to be. Now, when we've done our grinding, the next process is to add liquid, and mustard must have liquid of some kind or another in it. It's essential to bring the flavour out. This is cider vinegar, but we also use beer, wine, verjuice, cider in our experiments. Once again, texture in the pot and on the plate is very important. Now, how do we eat all this mustard? Here's a Wiltshire ham with a mustard glaze to it. I like a good stout English mustard with that. A tongue, well, I prefer the milder French mustards with tongue. And here's a hand-raised pork pie. A good grainy mustard with that, because it goes very well with the rough cutting of the meat in there. Scotch eggs. The Scotch don't actually make any mustard, so I prefer French with that, because it goes well with the eggs. Fish. Mustard was used in the cooking of this fish, coarse ground mustards, which released its flavour gently while it was cooking. And here's the great English beef. It is a beautiful piece, and I'd have any mustard with that. Mustard with cheddar cheese, some people might wonder about, but I assure you it's well worth trying, and particularly again when it comes to cooking.
Adjacent to Bill Tolberg's mustard factory is this hall. The local Rotary Club meets here every Thursday. Lunch, it seems, is always the most important item on the agenda. The good people of Wiltshire consider themselves experts when it comes to meats like this fine-looking tongue, or especially the local ham. Bill Tolberg knows that in Wiltshire, fine meat is taken for granted. This is why the people are here, the mustard. Long ago, a local farmer, Thomas Tusser, wrote, "Good bread and good drink, a good fire in the all, brawn, pudding and sauce, and good mustard withal." Mustard belongs to the botanical family Cruciferae, so called because the 4 petals on the flower form a cross. It's interesting that no Cruciferae seems to be poisonous. The flowers, lovely as they are, have nothing to do with mustard's yellow colour. The spice is made from seeds inside the many pods the flowers leave behind. The plants are also cousins of cabbages and cress. This is a field of English mustard which inspired some of the most famous advertising images of all time. In 1898, at the height of the Klondike gold rush, the artist John Hassell was commissioned by the English company J&J Coleman. The idea was simply to contrast mustard's warmth with the Yukon's cold. Through imaginative efforts like these, mustard was one of the very first products to be sold by the techniques of mass marketing. The company J&J Coleman of Norwich did very well by mustard. It was said that it made its fortune from what people left on the side of the plate. What they left was Coleman's famous hot mustard powder. It is made by removing seed husks and grinding. Eventually, water will bring the dry mixture to life. The company's patriarchs, Jeremiah Coleman and his great-nephew, Jeremiah James, were early masters in the art of industrial relations. They subsidized food for workers' lunch and opened a school for employees' children. But selling mustard powder was always the main task. And long after the patriarchs, it was still moved in mountains by imaginative mass marketing. "1926, the Mustard Club." This promotion, combining the best talents of the advertising and literary worlds, touched a responsive chord in people everywhere. There was Master Mustard, Lord Bacon, Miss Digester, and the president himself, Baron de Beef. The club lasted for 5 years and was terminated only by the Great Depression. One famous film produced for the campaign was The Order of the Bath. Our hero has come home with a cold. His wife has given him a hot drink. The club was originally just a gimmick, but people really felt a need to join and were accommodated. The idea that mustard is as much a medicine as a condiment has been around for millennia. Modern medical science is, at best, neutral on the point. However, the Mustard Club had no such difficulty and took seriously the evidence of the ham sandwich. Well, the story ends happily, with lots of mustard powder sold, and our hero in it, up to his neck. The Canadian prairies, one of the world's great breadbaskets. It is also the world's largest producer of mustard. 2 distinct types of seed are grown, pungent white ones and strong flavored brown. Most of the crop is exported. The white seeds go to the United States and the brown to Europe and Japan. It's all grown under contract to large grain companies. A company representative frequently visits farmers to help them get the best possible crops. He is mustard growing expert George Arsini.
In this area, I have about 8 or 10 farmers that grow mustard for us, to the total of about 30,000 acres. And they grow it every year. It's a good crop. It's a cash crop. And we have some pretty nice crops up here, as you'll see a little later on.
Hello, can I help you?
Yeah, Bill Almack, please.
Hello?
Bill, we got a little problem out here on the reserve. Gordon's first load went sample grade on account of cow cockle. That's the first couple of rounds. I told
The crop of one farmer, Gordon Nelson, has been downgraded because it contained a tiny weed, cow cockle. George will try to see if the crop can be upgraded by adding new top-quality seed. But first, he must visit another farmer, Henry Reddycop.
I can just feel we're going up there right away, and
Okay.
so I'll play it by ear for the next little while, Bill, and I'll let you know how the rest of them go tomorrow.
Okay.
Those are all real nice. Nice big seed, too, Henry.
Yeah.
It'll yield good.
Yeah, it's bigger here than it is at the top end. The top end got too dry, eh?
Yeah, the tops up here are nice and dry.
The bottom end of them are ripe, eh? Are turning.
Yeah.
The top is just the top end that's green. Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, it'll all mature, I'm pretty sure, if you give it 2 more days.
Yeah.
If the harvest is left too late, the pods will burst, spreading seeds everywhere. Not only will the crop be lost, but mustard is so prolific, it will weed for years. If the crop is harvested too early, the seeds may not mature fully and will be downgraded. There is one right moment to harvest, and George knows it.
George.
Now it's Gordon's turn for George's verdict on the cow cockle problem.
I think I'm getting beat on the price. I think I should get more money.
No. Look at this. But by God, you know, it's clean.
Yeah.
It's got little weeds in it, but nothing. It hasn't got any cow cockle in it, Gordon. I don't think we'll have any trouble with it at all. I'm sure that if we mix this with the other, it'll help, you know, upgrade everything.
You can't see giving any more money, though, eh?
No, not this time.
Oh, okay.
That's about the best we can do for you.
Best we can do.
Mustard was the medieval spice. It grew everywhere, certainly around this old Burgundian town, Dijon. For centuries, the French have said, Il n'est nulle part qu'à Dijon. If it's not from Dijon, it's not mustard. The spice figured highly in the lives of the long-departed Dukes of Burgundy, like Philip the Fair, who, it is claimed, consumed 60 gallons at one banquet. And Isabel, the Portuguese wife of Philip le Bon, found French food so wanting, she introduced mustard sauces into his court. Always the medieval monks and moutardiers ground mustard seeds with wine vinegar, as had their fathers and their fathers' fathers before them. Today in Dijon, mustard is everywhere, but only because a local 17th century genius substituted the wine vinegar with verjuice, the sour juice of unripened grapes. The taste was irresistible. Frenchmen and foreigners alike flocked to the town. By the 19th century, mustards were the rage. There were separate ones for men and for women, even for children. By 1812, France claimed no less than 84 distinct mustards. To serve last month's inn mustard was très déclassé. But today, all types of mustard are found on Dijon plates. Some are ground with vinegar, wine or verjuice. Some are coarse, others fine. Some are flavored with capers, anchovies, herbs, or combinations of them all. Philip le Bon. In the 15th century, he founded a heraldic order of chivalry, le Toison d'Or, the Golden Fleece. Philip and his knights met here, now a restaurant called le Toison d'Or. Perhaps, as if encouraged by Philip's Portuguese wife Isabel, the diners await a dinner cooked à la Dijonnaise. Chef Daniel Broyer has been busy preparing a poulet, or chicken à la Dijonnaise, but with a difference. He has already fried large pieces of chicken in butter. The chicken has been sprinkled with black pepper and paprika. Bay and thyme were also added. To prepare his pan for the famous sauce, excess butter is poured off. Dry white wine of the famous local Burgundian variety is added to the pan, and then some heavy cream. The mixture is reduced until creamy and thick. The mustard. Always in sauce making, mustard should be added near the end, or else, quite literally, its taste will vanish into thin air. Now for that difference. Monsieur Broyer will add grated cheese, in fact, fromage de Comté, a type of Gruyere from near the Swiss border. The addition of this cheese was the inspiration of the wife of a former mayor of Dijon. In her honor, the dish has been named Poulet Madame Gaston Gérard. It's the speciality of Le Toisson d'Or, and a work which would make Isabel of Portugal, or any Dijonnaise, very proud. Just a final garnish of breadcrumbs for a little texture, another sprinkling of the cheese, and it's ready for a light browning under the grill. And of course, who should be ready to enjoy the creation? None other than Madame Gaston Gérard herself. Mustard has been eaten in virtually every society in every age. Its very accessibility has made it the all-time spice of the people. No wonder they call it the spice of nations. Somehow, each country seems to reveal its inner character by the way it treats its mustard. Bad Dürkheim, Germany, where yet another national passion depends upon mustard. The British eat it with ham and roast beef. The French cook it in fabulous sauces. The Americans smear it on hamburgers. But to the Germans, it's a religion, a way of life. Never was there such a match as when mustard met the sausage. Germans like their mustards fine ground with the husks left on, and a little sweet with just a touch of sugar or honey. The Germans don't need an excuse to indulge. Any time will do. Breakfast or at the fair. Life would be inconceivable without.